Warning, I'm about to spoil the hell out of the movie I'm about to review. So, if you haven't seen the movie, just click off the video. Don't watch it. Even if you don't plan on seeing the movie, don't spoil it for yourself, because honestly, opinions can change. And any things that you may have against the movie on the trailers, go into the film with an open mind. You may enjoy it despite what you think beforehand. Honestly, it's happened to me so many times. So if you haven't seen the film I'm reviewing, just click off the video, because I'm about to spoil it for you. But if you have, then let's jump in to this movie reaction. After seeing this movie, I was walking through town, just saw a casual 14-year-old rolling up a cigarette, loads of kids my age smoking, so I guess we do live in a society.
Think you could steal from us and just walk away?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got something to say. I was wrong about Joker. So yeah, Joker has been a film that I've covered on this channel quite a lot, really, for quite an extensive period of time when you think about it. Well, not necessarily one of my first videos, but one of my very early videos. And it's very bad, so don't go back and watch it. Was covering the proposition of the standalone Joker movie idea. At the time it was being helmed under Scorsese, but I didn't actually know who Scorsese was. At the time, I know I'm an uncultured swine, I'm sorry. At the time, I mean, I was probably around 13, 12 years old, so, I mean, it's kind of forgiving, I guess. It was being helmed by him at the time. It was where it was first announced, and I remember thinking, being, of course, sort of up for it for a Joker film. I wasn't, like, gushing for it, but I wasn't, like, against it. But I remember really thinking, like, yeah, I wouldn't object to an origin story. I think at the time I was kind of like, why not do it with Jared Leto? Because A, the DCU was a lot younger then Justice League hadn't come out, and there was a lot more of a clear idea of the DCEU, you know, post Wonder Woman than there is now, shall we say. So I was like, you know, I'd rather get Jared Leto to do it, because even though I was a lot more forgiving of Suicide Squad then than I am now, I still wasn't the biggest fan of Jared Leto's Joker, but I was like, you know, why do a separate Joker? I'd much rather they fix Jared Leto's Joker. And I still stand by that, but regardless of that, those were my thoughts when I initially covered this in 2017. And then we didn't really hear anything about it. We heard that Joaquin Phoenix had been cast as the Joker. Obviously, there were rumours of Leonardo DiCaprio being cast, but then Joaquin Phoenix was cast. I didn't cover that mainly because, again, uncultured swine, I'm sorry. I didn't know who Joaquin Phoenix was at the time. A year later, for me to actually cover the Joker movie again, and that's when we saw those leaked, inverted commas, pictures of him in the Joker makeup at the rally, which obviously, well, not the rally, it was actually at the train station. I do believe when it was, obviously we thought it was a rally at the time, I do believe it is actually at the train station, having now sort of final film. But yeah, and I was kind of on the fence about his makeup. I thought it looks okay, but I'm not really a fan of the whole clown thing. I thought they were leaning too heavy on the clown stuff with the blue diamonds around the eyes and the red nose, and I thought perhaps it was leaning too much on Heath Ledger's Joker. Those were all kind of thoughts that, you know, were just on ideas. We got the first trailer early this year, and I was very much in the minority. I was on the fence about it, but I didn't see why people were getting so excited. By this point, I'd rewatched The Dark Knight, and I'd really figured out what I actually liked about the character. And what I liked about the character, or one of the things I liked about the character, was that he had no origin. So now I'm much more objectified to the idea of a origin movie for the Joker. This trailer, I was a bit worried it would be, you know, it would essentially make the Joker a lot more sympathetic. I thought that there are a few villains you could do that with. You could do it with the Riddler, the Penguin, various different amount of villains. Obviously, we know sympathetic villains can work, sympathetic comic book villains can work, but I thought the Joker, he's not really that guy. That was kind of my feeling of the first trailer. I also thought it may lean in too much to the we live in a society aspect, that everyone will be a dick. Then the second trailer came out. The second trailer came out and I disliked it more than the first, mainly because it gave us more of an impression of what this movie was going to be about. It doubled down on the aspects I didn't like about the first trailer. It doubled down in him kind of being beaten down by society. It doubled down in the sympathetic aspects, and something arose to me that maybe they were presenting him a lot more as an anti-hero rather than an actual villain. And I kind of thought to myself, when are they going to reach the point of no return? It didn't seem like they were going to do this. And I think also a big thing in the trailers was the music. It was kind of a twist on two songs, Send in the Clowns and Smile, but it was kind of like almost celebratory in a way, and I kind of think that really tainted my whole view on the actual footage in the trailers. Something as simple as music can really have a big effect there, which I'll talk about later. Ultimately, as a lot of people will know, I was in a very small minority where I wasn't actually very excited for the film. I mean, I went in cautiously optimistic. I go that with any film, regardless of my thoughts on the trailers, because at the end of the day, I give every film a chance. I wasn't going to write Joker off just yet. I'd seen a lot of people gave it good reviews, although there was a slight bit of, you know, it wasn't as positive as a lot of people were saying. A lot of people were like, oh, it's a shoe-in for an Oscar and stuff. And it only had 69% at the time of me going to the cinema. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it's 70, maybe 71 now. But obviously, that was a bit weird, because I thought, maybe I was right. You know, I hate to say I told you so, but maybe it's not as great as people say it is. I've seen The Guardian say that it was the most disappointing film of the year, and I kind of have the same reaction, kind of a smug reaction. Even though I say I don't prejudge films, for some reason I was kind of presuming it was going to be bad with this one. I was kind of like, maybe I hate to say I told you so. But I still tried to go in it with an open mind, especially as two critics that I follow quite a lot, Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman, two critics I follow on YouTube, both gave the film a positive review. So I thought, yeah, you know, what the hell, I've been very skeptical of it from the trailers, but let's go into this with a freaking open mind. And you know what, I'm so glad I did, because I was wrong about Joker and I really enjoyed it. It's not a perfect film, it has its flaws, sure. I will talk about that, but ultimately, you know, it kind of dodged a lot of the problems I had with this from the trailers, and ultimately it was just a really good character study and a kind of Elseworld story. I don't think that they should continue this universe. I think that it's definitely confirmed that they're not continuing this universe, because Joaquin Phoenix has basically said, I only want to do one film. I do respect that. I think it's almost a perfect kind of in-box Joker story. It's quite an odd film, but let's just start talking about this in a natural order. I heard that this film was going to be a slow burn, and that definitely helped me, because I went with 3 of my friends, and 2 of them said that they kind of felt a bit bored in the middle. They thought that there was too much Arthur Fleck and not enough Joker, and I do understand that. The movie is certainly a slow burn. However, I kind of anticipated this going into the film, and that definitely helped me a lot. It helped enjoy this movie quite a lot, because I knew it was going to be a slow burn. I knew it was going to be more of a character piece than, you know, an action-packed movie. There wasn't going to be a lot of action, and ultimately when you get around a quarter, halfway through the film, you kind of gather that, yeah, he's not going to be the Joker until the end. And once you come to terms with that, it helps you to enjoy the movie a lot more. And actually, I actually like the fact that we don't see much of him as the Joker. This movie could basically be just called Arthur or Arthur Fleck, more than the Joker, but ultimately it's an origin story for the Joker, and if Batman's not there, there's not very much Jokery stuff you can do, particularly as a film like this, where it's not exactly cut and dry. It's very much a progression, and even at the end, when he's the Joker, he's still not the full Joker. When he puts on the makeup, it's only in the very end scene that you get the impression that, yeah, he's kind of transformed here, and even then there's still room to go. So it is very much an origin story for the Joker, And I feel that having more Joker in here, as much as it would have been enjoyable because I enjoyed Joaquin's performance a lot towards the end, I think that ultimately it was a good call because you really focus on Arthur Fleck. One of my concerns in the trailer is that it was just going to be a series of him just being beaten down by society. Oh, let's feel sorry for the Joker. Kind of like taking the "we live in a society" memes seriously. I really didn't feel that, mainly because Arthur Fleck wasn't too sympathetic towards himself. He kind of just got on with it. He got on with life. When he was with his mother, he basically acted pretty normally. When he started laughing, he had the card. He kind of seemed prepared. And when he was talking about being jumped and stuff by those guys that we see in the trailers with who stole the sign off him, you know, he was kind of like, yeah, I got jumped. What I mean is he wasn't feeling too sympathetic towards himself. And I'm not saying that he should have been not too sympathetic towards himself, but I just mean is they didn't really focus on the sympathetic of, if he didn't feel sorry for himself a lot, then the audience doesn't focus in on the aspect. Obviously what these people are doing is horrible. But ultimately, even though it's happening, like society is crumbling, it doesn't focus in on it. It's weird, but to me, I came out of this movie and I didn't feel that this film really kind of focused on the sympathetic aspect. There's a point in the film, I talked about this in my review of the trailer, the point of no return. I was really worried about where this point was come, and there is a point in this movie. For a lot of people it'll be different. Ultimately, there is a point where he's turning a dark path. But ultimately, as I said, it's not night and day. There are, it's a progression there. He starts off as a pretty good guy, and then gradually he gets worse. So it's hard to pick out a point of where it's like, damn, he's bad. But ultimately, yeah, I do feel that this film handled the "we live in a society" quite well. It wasn't perfect. I've seen a couple of reviews say that they did focus on it a bit, and I understand that, but it was a lot less than what I was anticipating, and I think they handled it pretty well. As I said, he does get jumped a couple of times. He gets jumped by those kids at the start of the film. Obviously, the scene on the subway with those Wayne Enterprises people, he's given the gun by his colleague, who then lies about it, and then obviously there's the whole thing with his mother, Thomas Wayne, and then obviously Murray Franklin. Clearly, he's not screwed over by that many people. It's mainly the society, Jesus. It's mainly just the town that's screwing over everyone, and he just happens to be someone kind of getting the short straw. Rather than being beaten down by all those people, I think, well, obviously that starts it, but realistically, he's kind of been going through that maybe a little bit. I'm not really sure. You kind of get the impression that he's dealt with this before by his calm reaction to it, where he's talking to his boss. He's like, I told you they jumped the sign. Kind of feels like he's been going through this for a little while. It's not his first rodeo, so to speak. You could argue the subway is when it first starts, but I'd argue it's actually when the hospital cuts his funding, because then obviously it's not very clear in that scene that he's really making this transformation. But a lot of the things that happen later on in the film, you could argue, is because he's off his meds, and finally he's been set free, and that's obviously due to Thomas Wayne and the city, obviously cutting the funding for the mental illnesses. Obviously the thing that really tips him over the edge is the thing with Thomas Wayne and his mother, which I'll get onto later. As I said, it's a multitude of things. I think that Arthur Fleck kind of having a calm demeanour works quite well. I think he doesn't kill that much in this movie. I think this whole thing where it's like, oh, Joker's so violent. It's not, guys. Let's be real here. But I think you can really tell his progression by A, his dancing, which annoyed me a lot in the trailer, but I actually kind of liked it in the film, and B, his killing. Now, the first time he kills people is in the subway scene. He kills those Wayne Enterprises employees, and he's very shocked. It's kind of rash, sloppy killing, all off-center. He doesn't kill the guy straight away. He has to get off the bus to do it. He's shocked. He goes into the bathroom, and his dance moves, it's all pretty straight, very by the book, very elegant, and obviously that changes on the rest of the film. His other killing, he starts to become more effective. You've got him smothering his mother. I know I'm maybe getting a bit ahead of myself, but he starts smothering his mother with the pillow, which is obviously quite effective, but it's a long, hard process. And then he just stabs that fellow clown, the employee who gave him the gun, right in the eye really quickly. And then by the time he kills Murray, it's quick, it's efficient, it's expert killing. And you really see that progression. And again with his dancing, you know, each time he does it, it gets a bit less straightforward. And by the end, when he's in the full makeup and he's dancing, it's free flowing. You can tell he's a free man. And that he's let go of all his shackles and let go of his previous life, cut all ties. One thing that I think is very interesting in this movie is how they deal with the cult of the Joker. Now, it's an idea that's been battered around in recent years, is that the Joker inspires people and he's going to get a cult following. And it's very much something they explored in Gotham with the cult of Jerome, and then obviously after that the cult of Jeremiah. And obviously in this film they do that as well. You could tell from the trailers with the signs of "We're all clowns" and the clown mask that they were going to explore this in this movie. But it's actually really interesting how they explored this, because rather than them being a direct inspiration from him, and you'd expect that at the end when he becomes the Joker, or when he becomes the Joker, because obviously we didn't know it would be at the very end in the trailers, that then these people would rise up and see what he's doing and put on the clown mask. But actually it's more the other way around. Obviously he still technically inspires them, but it's not through choice. The Joker, or Arthur Fleck, kills those guys in the subway purely through self-defense, and is very shocked about it. He's not proud of it, but these people see it as a political statement against the rich because they're Wayne Enterprises employees, and kind of creates this kind of false hero in the news of this killer clown, and they adopt the clown masks after Thomas Wayne then calls them all clowns because of it, after this supposedly killer clown in the news, and calls like the poor people who are kind of trying to make a stand against him all clowns, and then they adopt this as a kind of moniker. And I wouldn't say these people are evil, even you know, adopting the Joker's ideas and ideologies, but it's very much something you see of, you know, some kind of repressed people really try and make a political stand, and will kind of take this as to adopt this kind of signal to identify themselves, to make this political standpoint. And obviously then, over time, Arthur Fleck kind of becomes more and more impressed with this. And then by the end of the film, you know, he still kind of bestows it by accident. But then when he's cut all ties, he really has no one left in his life. He decides that this is the only thing he has left, is the thing that people are talking about in the news, and adopts the Joker makeup to appeal to the people, and then starts to become a symbol, because it makes sense that in one of his jokes, "I hope my death makes more sense than my life," that he really wants all the people to see, which is why at the end he puts the makeup on, he admits to the crimes and is about to kill himself. But we get to that later, that doesn't quite go to plan. See, at the end you get all the Joker rioters, which maybe was a bit of a stretch, I suppose, suggesting that Gotham City is now kind of like overrun by all these like hooligans, I guess. But ultimately I found it really interesting how they handled that, and I think it was a much more interesting way to incorporate the cult of the Joker into this film, and actually a very smart way, I thought. Let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur Fleck. I think it's a good point to talk about him, mainly just as Arthur Fleck, I think, so far. But he's brilliant. He is absolutely phenomenal. His portrayal of Arthur Fleck feels so real, and you'd kind of expect that from an actor of Joaquin's quality. But he feels like a real person. You know, you could, even though it is a real illness, you could forget, maybe beforehand, maybe pitched on paper, that the laughing disease may get pretty old pretty quickly, and maybe a bit annoying, and maybe a bit hilariously unbelievable on paper, but Joaquin just carries it so well and so believable that you forget that you're watching a character that's been completely created here. You feel that this is a completely mentally ill unstable person or just mentally ill person, just trying to get on with this world, just trying to make something of this world that clearly is biased against him. And I do like that. I said that before. I like the fact that Arthur Fleck isn't being too soppy. He's still trying to just move on with his life. He wants to, you know, entertain people. He wants to become a stand-up comedian. He's not letting his illness stop him, which on that front I think is quite a good interpretation of mental health. On that front, you know, he obviously gets beaten down, but it's not until he gets his funding cut, but really until the whole Thomas Wayne and his mother thing, that he really properly snaps. I think that's very much illustrated in his second killing of his mother, and from that killing to the first killing you really see how much has been going on. Obviously you get the whole thing with Murray Franklin, and that kind of tips him over the edge when his mother is in hospital. I feel so sorry for him at that point. It's implied that he didn't get the jokes out, but obviously we never truly know whether the comedy club really like gave him a big laugh or not. With a lot of this film being left to interpretation, I suppose, we never truly know. Murray Franklin takes advantage of his kind of laughing outburst at the start where he's just struggling to get his joke out. He just can't stop. That's one thing I'll say about Joaquin Phoenix. He kind of redefined the Joker laugh. I don't know if it's the best Joker laugh because I really like Ledger's laugh. And Hamill's laugh may be my favourite, followed by Ledger, and then probably Phoenix. But I don't think Nicholson had a great laugh, if I remember rightly. I haven't seen Batman 1989 in a very long time. But it redefines the Joker laugh because it takes a new spin on it. Rather than being the classic Joker laugh that maybe Nicholson, Hamill, or Ledger brought to the table. Rather than doing a straightforward laugh, he analysed this mental illness, which I don't know the name of. Just tell that his laughing, it's uncontrollable, it's unnatural, it's not according to his emotions. He's out of breath because he can't stop. And you can hear him wheezing behind this laugh. And you can tell that he's just put some thought into this laugh. And that's why I think he's redefined the Joker laugh, because people will look at this laugh in years to come and think, yeah, maybe I should do something similar to Phoenix, because I think he's really redefined it. But yeah, he just can't get his words out, and obviously Murray Franklin berates him for that. And also, I think, obviously I talked about the hospital cutting his funding, but his mother is really where he snaps. Now, obviously, I was enjoying the film, and then this come up, and I thought, oh dear. I speculated, I was like, oh, the Joker will kill Thomas Wayne, what the hell are they doing here? But I didn't expect this. And, you know, it's kind of weird to me when they try and suggest that the Joker and Bruce Wayne may be half-brothers because Thomas Wayne may be the father of Arthur Fleck. And I must say that was weird for the time that I thought it was real. I was like, maybe they could pull it off, but this just seems weird to me. See, his mother's like, Thomas Wayne's a very good man, and also I was like, oh, are they actually going down this route? And then it's revealed that, oh, she says that Thomas Wayne is Arthur's son, you know, she worked there, they had an affair, and Thomas Wayne obviously wouldn't want that, so he made her sign some papers and took Arthur Fleck out. Then he breaks in, goes to see Bruce Wayne, which is a creepy scene. You obviously see Bruce Wayne, you see Alfred, and Arthur Fleck just goes, he puts his fingers in his mouth, making the smile. It's just very unnerving. So that's another sign that maybe he's losing it a little bit. But then he goes to see Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne punches him in the face, but it says that his mother is insane. She made it all up, and ultimately she was committed to an asylum. And ultimately Arthur goes there, steals the records, and you know, it's kind of haunting what you find out after this, because Penny Fleck is clearly mentally deranged, or not altogether, shall I say. She's not necessarily deranged, but she's not all there. She's really ill, but she's just this really pleasant woman who Arthur clearly cares for. And it's just revealed, well, not necessarily revealed, but we're told, and you see the papers that he steals from Arkham Asylum, or Arkham State Hospital, shall I say. It is Arkham Asylum. But technically he was adopted, and she let him be abused by her boyfriend and chain him to a radiator, and that she was delusional and tried to claim that Thomas Wayne was his father. And you just see her being questioned, and she's obviously locked up in Arkham, and you can just see Arthur, he is just mad, and he's laughing, but he is just like, what the hell? He is so clearly mad. This scene is left up to interpretation, and I really like that. The fact is that, yes, his mother could have been deranged, could have done all this stuff. It's very likely. You have the records there, and it's clear what broke Arthur, but also Thomas Wayne is a man of power. He could have clearly forged these documents and put her in there, and I really like the fact that this is left up to interpretation. Arthur's first serious kill he does because of this, and maybe it wasn't for the right reason, so I like that bit of detail there. Very sinister, and ultimately Arthur sinisterly kills her with a pillow. Now this is basically his first proper kill. I know he kills those guys on the subway, but this is the real intent one, and you can tell because he's so sinister. He's like, "I used to think my life was a tragedy, but now I think it's a fucking comedy," is what he said. Great line. Very sinister delivery, and he smothers his mum with a pillow, and that's really the scene where you're like, yeah, he's getting there, he's getting there. Then we're getting up to the point where he's starting to become the Joker. And it's a real progression, as I said. Before that, you were really sensing a progression since the hospital closed down, that he was getting losing it, obviously shown by the scene with Thomas Wayne. This is where he's truly kind of lost it, I think, for me, just by, you know, obviously this traumatic things happened to him, but just by the way he's killing, you can kind of tell that, yeah, he's going off the deep end now. Zazie Beetz' character. Now, Zazie Beetz' character is a single mother, Sophie, I believe her name is, and they meet in an elevator. She's got a child. Then Arthur makes a really weird, like, gesture when they leave the elevator. Clearly he's awful at small talk. Arthur, I can relate. I can't talk to women either. Then he follows her, and then weirdly, she comes into his house, knocks on his door and says, "Have you been following me?" And he says, "Yeah." And she's like, "Good." And then after he kills those guys on the subway, I think it is, he then goes in, knocks on her door, and the implication is that he starts kissing her, and the implication is that they have sex. And I just thought, this is just this is kind of unbelievable. Like, she's clearly a young single mother. Why would she be into this clearly mentally unstable older dude down the hall who lives with his mother? This clearly wouldn't happen. And then they start going out on dates, and they go out to town. She's at the comedy club, and she's supporting him with his mother. And I thought it was weird because he never tells his mum anything. He never speaks to any other characters about it. It's never even really established if they're dating or not. And I was kind of thought, this is a bit pointless, you know. It's not really affecting the plot at all. It's not really affecting Arthur's state of mind because he doesn't really mention it to anyone. It doesn't seem to be improving his mental state. And I thought, this just seems a bit pointless. And then obviously it's revealed that she's just a hallucination. I found this an incredibly interesting move, as it shows him, you know, he's in the room and she's like, you know, "You're Arthur down the hall." And it flashes back to her in the scenes with her and Arthur, but she's just not there. It's just Arthur, and it shows that he kind of dreamt this up in his imagination. And the fact is the point that she's so relevant is because she was never there, and then that shows that he's now cutting all ties. He's lost his mum, and he's lost her. He has no one he cares for in the world, therefore creating a blank slate shown by the white makeup he puts on in the next scene. I do have some mixed feelings. As I say, I think the whole plotline was a bit underdeveloped and a bit irrelevant, if I'm being honest. It could have quite easily been taken out. I do like the idea that when it's revealed she's a hallucination, that he's now a blank slate, got no one to care for, and that's when he finally becomes the Joker and embraces that side of him. However, I do think that if they built the relationship a lot more, this would have had a lot of a bigger impact. I know the whole point that it was underdeveloped is because it never happened, but I just felt if you made it a bit more relevant in the story, it would have really packed an emotional punch a bit more. And I do kind of feel that it was the one plot line that I could have thought, yeah, that could have kind of taken out. I don't think the story would have been changed that much. So I do kind of have mixed feelings on the Zazie Beetz character and the plot line. But ultimately, I do like the fact that it does leave him with a blank slate, which is actually, you know, a great move. That obviously he's now lost his mother, lost Zazie Beetz, lost his job. Now, the only thing he's got left is the Murray Franklin show. The Murray Franklin show and the supporters wearing the clown masks. And this is emphasised with the blank slate idea when he just puts it on. Before he's put on the smile and the diamond eyes, he's just got a white face, and honestly, it's the most sinister thing you've probably ever seen. It is so sinister when he's just in the doorway, no shirt on, he's just got the white face. Oh my god, it's actually really chilling. The clown guys go in, and he just stabs him, the guy who lent him the gun, in the eye. And you can tell he's just a different man now. He's so calm about it, he just doesn't care. And also you get a very sinister scene where you've got the kind of smaller guy, and he's really afraid, and Arthur's just like, yeah, just go. And you feel like, yeah, he's gonna kill him on his way out. And he kind of goes like to kind of like jump scare him. And then he reaches for the door, but because of his height, he can't reach, and like, oh, he's gonna get it. And then Arthur just opens the door, and it's like, you're always nice to me, so you can just leave. Which I thought was quite funny, actually. This is something that would kind of change later on down the line with the Joker, but I love the fact he's kind of this only person who's nice to him. He's kind of being honest with him. He's like, yeah, go on, be free. He's wearing the Joker makeup to appeal to the Joker supporters to go on to Murray Franklin, which he gets the name Joker from Murray Franklin, who called him Joker on the show. And he clearly plans to kill himself after admitting to the murders. And it does go back to his joke, I hope my death makes more sense than my life, sorry. Which is quite nice, and you kind of think, is the Joker going to kill himself? On his way, he does the dance, which is a great explanation for his changing character. It's kind of his character distilled now, it's a lot more free-flowing, he's a free man, he's dropped all shackles. And then he's chased by the police. Now, if his mother wasn't the key point where he snaps, I think this is, because these police officers, he essentially wears the clown mask, intercepts the train with all the Joker rally supporters, against Thomas Wayne, and he goes in, wears the mask, and these cops haven't done anything wrong to him, and he just goes in, wears the mask, escapes, but then, because they're all wearing masks, one of the cops shoots a supporter, and then all the supporters start attacking the police officers, and then the Joker at this point just stands over him and just kind of gives him a smirk, and then walks away as these police officers are being pummeled by supporters. These people haven't done anything to Arthur, so it's actually kind of a big moment for his character that not many people are talking about, where he truly lets some innocent men die just to proceed from his plan, rather than killing people who have actually done something wrong to him, which I think is actually a real formative moment. Goes on the show, says, when you bring me out, can you call me Joker? Which I know I kind of dissed that moment in my trailer review. It's a lot better in the film, and I think that they really should have left that for the film. They shouldn't have put that in the trailer. He goes in and he kisses one of the people on the talk show, which I believe is very reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns. So the whole talk show scene is actually very reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns, which I like that Easter egg. And he's basically like, yep, I killed those people, and he makes the joke, and then you can see, you know, because before he goes on, Murray is just being a dick to him again, and you can tell he's just smoking a cigarette, and you can tell he's changed his mind now. He's going to kill Murray, and he goes on, basically admits to the murders, and, you know, Murray's like, oh, you know, why is that funny? And he makes a dark joke about a drunken driver, and he's like, you know, well, this society decides what's funny and what's not. You know, surely comedy's subjective, you know, surely you can laugh at something, you know, even if society doesn't deem it to be acceptable, which I guess is the whole point of the Joker. I imagine that's where Chris Nolan got the whole society angle for his Joker, just based on the whole, you know, point of how comedy's subjective and society tells us what to laugh at and what not to, and the Joker kind of stands in the way of that. Then he, you know, basically tells a joke, and he's like, what do you get when you get a depressed loner who's put into this society? What you fucking deserve. And then he shoots Murray a number of times. It's all calm and collected. He's just clearly having fun with that now. And yeah, then he goes over to the camera, a very jokery thing to do. And now he's clearly killed Murray, and he's stabbed. He is the Joker now. There's no going back. Apprehended by the cops, and he's in the car, but then one of the Joker supporters just, you know, drives the car in. They take him out, write him up like a messiah, and then he's standing on the top, and he goes into his mouth and takes the blood and paints a big smile on his face. It's a truly formative moment, and he's the Joker there. I was a bit worried in my trailer. I thought, how can this Arthur Fleck really be convincing a progression from this character to the Joker? It didn't seem right to me because the Joker's always confident. I didn't think it would be very believable, but Joaquin sold it. The film sold it by the end. There's no doubt. You're watching the Joker there, and it's a really great moment. Jesus Christ, it's actually really good. As I said, there isn't much Joker in this film, but this is how I would have done it. When the first trailer came out, and I obviously said there may be villains that would suit better to this kind of film, including the Riddler, I kind of did a rough kind of outline for what I would do with a Riddler movie. And again, when I was doing that, I thought that it would be better to have him as Edward Nigma for most of the film, and then have him finally become the Riddler at the end. So that's what I would have done if I was making this film, and it was the right decision. As I said, how interesting would it to been for him to be being the Joker without Batman for an extensive period of time? What would he be really been doing? Not much. So I think it was right to not have too much Joker, and it feels so rewarding when he's finally completed that transformation. One thing I don't like is the Waynes being murdered. Now, I speculated in my other trailer review that the Waynes would be murdered, and they are murdered. Not by the Joker though, which I was happy about, because we don't want to do that Batman 1989 thing. Would you dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? They're killed by a Joker supporter, and they're like, well, had enough of your bullshit, Wayne. And then they kill them, and then there's just Bruce standing over the bodies. But I do have a problem with this. The death just feels so tacked on. Like, realistically, it didn't need to be there. There hadn't been much focus on the Waynes as a family, or Bruce, realistically. Thomas Wayne was a bit of a dick, and I feel he could have been a bit more sympathetic. Not necessarily sympathetic, but a bit more of a nicer dude. He was more of an outward dick, though I would have liked in this movie. But it just kind of felt really tacked on to me. Like, they really didn't need to do this kind of... They didn't need to do the Wayne killings. It just felt tacked on to me, and it was kind of really ancillary to what the other scene that was kind of in tandem to this, which is the Joker rising up, onto the car, being lifted up as a messiah, and truly becoming the Joker with his followers. And it really didn't really fit to me. Also, I don't like that it's a Joker follower. I really don't like that, because while it would make sense with all these riots going on, I don't like that it's a Joker follower, mainly because young Bruce would see all this ruckus and stuff going on around him, seeing it's all inspired by the Joker, seeing all the clown masks, and think, I'm going to take down that son of a bitch, the Joker, when I'm older, growing up hating the Joker and wanting to avenge them. And that's not Batman for me. I know they're not going to continue this universe, so I guess I can't be too mad at it. But ultimately, just imagining a chronology and a future for this universe, I'd hate that that's the way this would all go down. Ultimately, if they were to have it in this film and in the riots, what I think would have been better is if someone approaches them in the clown mask, takes it off. He's not part of the supporters. He's only been wearing that to get through the crowds and sneak up on people without getting noticed. He takes off the mask. He's an opportunist because he's going to kidnap the Waynes while all the police are busy with all these Joker rioters. And he's not wearing... He takes off the mask. It's Joe Chill. He's an opportunist, as I said, and then kills the Waynes and takes the cash and run. I feel you could still incorporate into this movie, still incorporate the Joker riots at the end with the Wayne murders, but I felt that would have been a better way to handle it. So I wasn't really a fan of the Wayne killings being in this movie, but it's just a small thing, so it's not ruined the movie for me or anything like that. I just would have preferred if it was kind of left on the cutting room floor. He rises up onto the car like a messiah, paints a smile on his face, and then starts to dance. He's truly the Joker at this point. And we follow up with a scene where he's in Arkham Asylum. It mirrors the scenes with him and a psychiatrist that we see throughout the film, and it mirrors that, which is a really nice mirror image. He's all in white in a white room, and he just starts laughing, and then the doctor's like, oh, what is it? And he's just like, oh, you wouldn't get it. Which is a perfect last line to end it on. He's clearly just the Joker here, and then he runs out in a very slapstick Joker moment, with blood on his feet. Presumably he's killed the doctor and then runs out away from the guards down the hall in a very slapstick Joker moment. Joaquin has gone from Arthur Fleck to the Joker in a mere 2 hours. It's a brilliant transformation to see and a lovely scene to end the film on. There's a big thing that obviously, because this kind of mirrors the very brief shot at the start of the film where they're like, you spent time in a hospital before, and you can see him banging his head against the glass in a white room in a white jumpsuit. Obviously it's never really explained what this was in the film. Obviously a lot of people thought, so did the film just take place in his mind? Personally, it's an interesting theory. I would say no, just because I don't like the fact that this film could have not happened at all. I like the fact that this film actually happened, and I think the things that happen in his mind is obviously the Zazie Beetz thing. While it's a nice theory, I do prefer the events of this film to be more legitimate. And yeah, ultimately this film really caught me off guard. As I've said, Joaquin is great, Zazie Beetz is great, the actress who played the mother, I'm not sure what her name is, the actress who played Penny Fleck. I do know what it is, but I've just forgotten it. I'll put it up on the screen now. And Robert De Niro, they were all perfect, particularly Joaquin. Robert De Niro was great as well as Murray in a smaller role as it was. You know, he wasn't phoning it in like something like Dirty Grandpa. He was giving it all, his all, and it showed. Unsung hero of this film, I guess, was the score. Again, it's a really hard name to pronounce, so I'm just going to put it up on the screen now. The score was something like I haven't seen from a comic book film before. The Joker's had some iconic themes. The one from Batman 1989 comes to mind. That's a great theme. His theme, Why So Serious from The Dark Knight, also great and really chilling. And I also think, while it's sparsely used because of all the trashy pop music they decided to put in, his theme in the Suicide Squad movie is actually really interesting as well, though it doesn't get played much. You know, ultimately he's had some great themes, a great track record with music. I was always intrigued to know what the score would be like for this film, and it's like nothing I've seen from a superhero movie before. It's very atmospheric, you don't always hear it, but it actually really impacts us in the transformation from Arthur Fleck. It's very downbeat, very somber, very sinister, all being very slow as well, kind of beautiful music. It really signifies the change from Arthur Fleck. I think that's one of the reasons I felt that he portrayed as more of an anti-hero in the trailers, because the trailer really used some kind of upbeat music to really kind of give us a false impression, but realistically in the actual film, the music is really really tells you that no, he is going too far. He's gone too far. He is the Joker. And the music was just phenomenal. I hope we see this composer more, because it was a really interesting choice for music and it really delivered. The soundtrack is definitely going to be one of my favourites to come. The Unsung Hero. Another unsung hero, I guess, is Todd Phillips. I was a bit skeptical of him directing this. The only thing I know him for directing is the Hangover trilogy, but he directed this like an art house film. Honestly, it's so nice to have a director's flavour be brought into superhero films again. You know, all the kind of close-up shots. It was his movie. This film looked great from the colour palette, the cinematography, the shots. Everything was just perfect. And yeah, Todd Phillips really done this film justice. The perfect man for the job. So overall, I couldn't be more wrong from this film what I was talking about in the trailers. It has some flaws, sure, which I've discussed, mainly to do with the Wayans and Zazie Beetz character, but ultimately it was a beautiful character study, a beautiful slow burn of Batman's most fearsome foe. You know, one of the best villains, if not the best villain, in movie, comic book, pop culture history, the Joker, known as much as Batman himself, and it was just a great movie. I was heavily skeptical, as you guys know, before going into this, but my prayers were answered. I surprisingly came out thoroughly enjoying Joker, and I honestly hope more films like this get made. Not in the same universe, I'd hope that this becomes more of a, you know, a standalone film. Ultimately, it was very, very good. In terms of how I rank Joaquin's Joker, I think it's very hard, because ultimately he's only fully the Joker for not that long, and obviously to compare it to the likes of Heath and Jack Nicholson and Mark Hamill and Kevin Michael Richardson, who were the Joker for all the time and extensive periods of time, it's very hard to rank him. He is better than Jared Leto's Joker, mainly because it's very easy to do that, because they kind of had similar amounts of screen time, I guess. but ultimately, you know, it was a very good Joker, and I think if we saw a bit more of it, he'd easily be top 2, top 3. And I'd say he's maybe even 5th or 4th, even at the moment, because, like I said, the transformation was just jaw-dropping, and Joaquin was just perfect in this role. And like I said, at the end, there's no doubt that you're watching the Joker. It's perfect. Bit worried that Joaquin's maybe not suit the Joker, his voice, but ultimately he transforms, and he's perfect. This film, it's not perfect, but ultimately it really surprised me, and obviously I went into this film slightly negative because I really wasn't a fan of the trailers, unlike most people, but I completely really like this film, which was a really pleasant surprise. You know, I go into all films wanting to like it, you know, even if I don't like the trailers, I go in because I want to like every single film that I see and I'm interested in, and I give every film a chance, and I'm so glad I did with this because I really enjoyed it. Joker is a game changer for the superhero genre and deserves 4.5 stars out of 5. Phenomenal work from Joaquin, from Todd Phillips, and everyone involved. Honestly, a superb production. Not without its flaws, but massively enjoyable. A truly transformative film. But yes, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, drop a sub, and hit that notification bell to stay notified for all my latest videos. And what did you think of Joker? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Obviously, I hope you have seen it because there's a lot of spoilers in this video. But obviously, I was very skeptical going in, but I really liked it. So if you were skeptical like me going in, you know, give this movie a chance because you may find yourself enjoying it. And if you didn't enjoy it, you know, still tell me why, because it would cause a very interesting discussion. But thank you guys for watching, and of course, a good bye. That's more like Jared Leto's laugh than Joaquin Phoenix's laugh. Jesus Christ.